terrible. So if I break down and get nervous, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So overall this year, honestly, you guys have been amazing. We've definitely had moments, right? Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. We've had some moments where I went home and told my wife, this freaking kid, I wanted to punch him today. But overall, I look back on this year and I think about your faces, I think about you guys, and I think on those faces with fondness. I just see all of the good things that have happened this year, all the fun times that we've had, all the funny jokes that you guys have made, propane and dead bodies up there, I've for a really long time. So I really appreciate that. As I said in the beginning of the year, one of the reasons why I love teaching literature is because of the power that I see in story. I don't know if you guys remember that. Some of you guys weren't even here. But that's one of the reasons that I first kind of fell in love with literature, is just the stories that we all have, that we all share, and that it kind of connects us in a lot of ways. And so I hope that at some point through this year that you guys have been kind of touched by some of those stories that we've read in one way or another, as well as some of the stories that we've kind of told in here. Some of you guys have shared, parts of your story with me, and I appreciate that. And I try as much as I can to kind of share some of my story and my journey with you guys, so I appreciate you guys for listening. So you guys are moving on. Some of you guys going on to JCs, some of you guys universities, some of you guys going to the military, some of you guys going straight into the workforce, and I can only hope as a teacher that you guys have learned something this year that you can kind of take forward with you, especially as graduating, that you guys take something forward with you that you can kind of apply to your life, not just book knowledge, but something a little bit more kind of important than that. I hope that you guys have been challenged to think about something in a new way, that you've kind of asked questions that you never really asked before. I hope that for some of you guys, you've been challenged to kind of question the world around you a little bit more, and really search for truth and beauty and what those things really are, what those things mean, what those things look like. And I hope for some of you guys that feel like you really learned nothing this year, that at some point you kind of have that moment where you're like, oh, I get it, that makes sense. Drury said, or this other teacher said, or there's that one moment, I didn't get it then, but it makes sense now, I get it. And so I hope for some of you guys that just feel like, oh, this year was a waste of time, that something clicks at some point. Let's see. There's a lot of paths in this world, a lot of different roads that you guys will travel as you move on from here. Some of you guys are really excited about that and kind of ready to just jump down those paths with excitement. Some of you guys are a little bit more reluctant and kind of not quite sure what to expect, and you're like tiptoeing, testing the waters, And I don't think that either approach is never necessarily more right than the other. I think it kind of goes along with your personality, how you decide to pursue those roads. But I think ultimately what's important is that we continue to learn and grow as individuals, like as we move on in life. And so kind of some of the parting words that I have for you guys is never to pass up an opportunity to learn. Whether it's from your professors in college, or your parents, or your friends, or some really just unexpected place like the homeless guy that hangs out down the street that you're like always making fun of. There's a lot of different ways and a lot of different places where we can kind of learn and gain knowledge. And so I hope you guys never kind of give up that pursuit and just kind of, say, well, I've learned everything I need to learn, so let me just take on life now. And so I think it's important to continue to be open to learning new things. I think that's a couple more things. Above everything else, I think what's important, and most of you guys have showed me this year, that you guys live this way, is to be honest and full of integrity. Ultimately, you guys need to sleep with yourselves at the end of the day. And so don't do anything that goes against who you are and who you desire to be. Keep that in your mind, and don't let other people or other things pressure you into acting in a way that doesn't go along with that end goal and what you ultimately desire to be. Be wary of apathy. If you're bored, it's because you're boring. Okay? So never sit around and say, I'm so bored with life, there's just nothing here, there's nothing to do, I'm so bored with what's going on right now. If you're saying that, just keep in mind that's probably because you're kind of a boring person at that moment in your life, and that you need to think of something exciting, something creative that you can do to kind of practice the gifts that you've been given. Ultimately, I love you guys. I do. I honestly do, and I mean that. And I wish you guys the best of luck in the future with whatever you do. I really think, and I don't say this lightly, but I really think that every one of you guys in here, every one of you guys in here have really amazing potential and gifts, and I wouldn't say that just to BS you guys. Some of you guys I got to know a little bit better than others, but what I have seen of each person in this class is some just amazing talents and gifts and potential that you guys have. But ultimately, it's up to you guys what you choose to do with that. And it's not going to be up to anybody else, well, this person didn't open the door for me, or this person didn't help me out. It's up to you what you do with that potential and those gifts. If you just sit around and be bored, then that's your choice, that was your option. If you sit around and pursue those things that you love and those things that you're passionate about, then you'll start to kind of get to know yourself a little bit more and how you kind of function in the world. So ultimately, the last thing I want to leave you guys with is one of my favorite quotes from a movie called Secondhand Lions. Have you guys ever seen that?
I love that movie. Quality movie.
Good movie. Good movie. And there's this character in there who, he's kind of this older guy, and he has this speech that he gives to every boy to become a man. But it also applies to you women as well, definitely. But every time I see this speech, I've seen the movie maybe 5 times, and every time I see this speech, there's this one little part in it that just, it kills me every time. Like, I can't watch it with a dry eye. It's impossible. And so this guy, he's talking to his little nephew, and he gives him just part of the speech, and he's kind of telling him what it means to live and to be a man, to be a grown-up in this world, to be an adult. And he says, sometimes the things that may or may not be true are the things a man needs to believe in the most. That people are basically good, that honor, courage, and virtue mean everything, that power and money and power mean nothing, that good always triumphs over evil, bless me ultima. And I want you to remember this, that love, true love never dies. You remember that, boy. You remember that. Doesn't matter if it's true or not, you see a man should believe in those things, because those are the things worth believing in. So ultimately, I hope you guys kind of take that idea to heart, that we pursue a lot of things in this life, money and power and success. And those things aren't necessarily bad on their own, but ultimately the things that matter are kind of those things that are closest to us, that idea that he brings up of courage, of good triumphing over evil, of virtue, of honor. And those are the things that we need to strive for more than the money and the success and the fame. If those things come, awesome. But ultimately, again, as I said earlier, the thing that matters is living with integrity, that you can sleep with yourself at night and be happy with the person that you are. So that's all I have to say. Good luck in your future, guys.